Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and today we're going to finish up our gear cutter attachment. We scrapped the idea of using it on the lathe. I feel there's no point in it simply because it's just not going to happen. That is a in case of emergency kind of deal to do one on a lathe. If you got the means to do it on a lathe, by all means, that's the way you have to do it. But I'm mocking this up to work on my mill. I went and got the arbor for it, the cutter holder for R8. So we got the arbor for it for the mill, and I've tested this on the mill to see if it's going to work, and it does. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. And I got something all over that, grease or something. So I'll put you down here and we'll show you what we got. Hope you're having your Trump coffee today. Alright. Start off with a block. Now this is my second block. The first one, I didn't really have enough or strong enough tooling or long enough tooling to bore this out to 3/4, because the first one I did have the means to bore out 5/8. So there was two things that happened to that one. One, I made it a little shorter, and I needed it longer, not shorter, for the mill. So I just made another one and took it to my buddy's house, and he helped me to get that bored out, and we reamed it too. Now we had to change my reamer a little bit. We had to take and turn this down right here so it would fit a 1/2 inch chuck, that much of it, because we wasn't able to get the whole length of it. So, but anyway, we got it made, and we've got a place for the lock screw. We got a place to lock the shaft. And now we get to put it together. So that's the block. Now this is 3/8 of an inch long, 1 inch diameter. This is 1.5 by 1.5 square block. I tapped the hole for 1/4 20. I drilled that out. I don't know what size I drilled it, but I drilled it so that I could use this screwdriver, because this is my go-to screwdriver for stuff like that. So, and then this side is flat. So we made this longer than the original plans that Mr. Pete did. His was 5 1/8, I believe. Yeah, I knew it was. This one is total length, if this will go far enough. Yeah, it will. This one's 5 13/32, so the nearest 7/16 is the next nearest most looked at number. So mine's just a little bit longer, simply because this was all that was left out of the scrap that I cut the other piece off of. And I gave that to Dale, and he's already working on fixing it up and making it work. And I've suggested to him to do the same thing to that one and just make a new shaft. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tighten that down a little bit, just snug. We don't want to get crazy. On the bottom of this, I made a punch mark, a line. And on the bottom of this is a corresponding line. That means that this has to go in that orientation. And I'll simply tell you why. I'm not very good at indexing. I wanted this, and I tried so hard, and I thought I got it, to where if I take and turn that way, it would screw this one too, but it won't. It'll only screw together in the way I drilled it, and how it was when I drilled it. But that's not a big deal. It's never needing to turn, so it don't make that much of a difference anyway. It's just my anal thinking. So we got some 1032 cap screws, round-headed cap screws, and we'll put that in. The hole is bored out to 1 inch. This one here is, I ain't even got a screw in that one. I'm trying to put a screw in it. This is 3/8 wide. And this part is the same width as the body. If you need the plans, go to Mr. Pete's channel, and watch his 6 videos. I learned something with this, building this thing, so I honed my abilities just a little bit. Not much, but better. My work is starting to get a little bit desirable. Alright, so then this is the shaft that I made, and instead of threading the end of it 1/2-20, I drilled it out and used 3/8 16, or 3/8 16, I believe. And we're going to use locking nuts on it. Of course, I don't think the locking nuts are going to work, because, and you don't really need it to lock that tight anyway. So the locking part don't start until the plastic, and I don't think it reaches the plastic when it's together. So this will only go one way. This hole right here is further back on the shaft, so that tells me that it goes in this orientation. So we'll put that together, but we're going to do something before we do this. We are going to grease it. As soon as I find my grease. So we'll just we're not going to get crazy with this grease. We just want just enough. I mean, it'd probably be fine without it. But I like a little cushion on my pushing. So we're going to put that cushion on the pushing. Now we're only going to do this part. We're not going to do it out here where the gear goes. And we're not even going to do right there. It's not necessary. Just wasting grease. Now, because when you go to push this in, the shaft is actually the wrong place to start off putting grease. The hole is where you need a little bit in it. So we'll just put a little bit on each side of it, just right at the end, and it'll push it in there to it. And then we'll just clean all the excess off. So then we'll go ahead and slide our shaft in. And I have it down to a T. I've put it together so many times that I know that my gear pins will go up. Man, that is smooth as butter. There is no play in that whatsoever. I'm really proud of my machining on this job, man. Yeah, I like the way this came out. So now we'll take a rag and clean all the excess grease off, because we're not trying to show off grease. We're trying to show off my part. Alright. So now I can go ahead and put my screwdriver down in the hole, and that shaft is not going to turn now. So then I made these little frickin' pins out of brass, and then I drilled a hole for these pins to go down into, and they are the same width as the width of this gear. So I set that in there, and then this will go on next. Then I made a bushing or collar, and that'll go on. Then I made a aluminum washer, and it goes on there. And then this one will tighten down. Not yet. So now we can go ahead and put our lock in, because we will need it soon. Well, we really don't need it. The screwdriver will hold it in place. I don't know if you noticed the undercut that I did in in the area. So then we got another pin that goes on the other side, and then we got another gear that goes on this side. This will be the side that has the blank. So we're just pretending that's a blank. So we got our other collar, got our other washer, and then we've got our nut. So now we'll tighten these down. Alright. Now we can remove our screwdriver. Now we can unlock it. So I'm just working it in, working that grease in. This thing was smoother than that before I put the grease in it. So I'm wondering if maybe the grease is too much. Alright, well anyway, it turns just fine. It's just got some stiff spots in it for some reason. Let me loosen that up a little bit. It doesn't need to be that tight, to be honest with you. And we'll loosen the other one up a little bit. Alright, so now we've got it. Now we have the part that indexes, that goes against the gear. So then I made this piece that looks like a little barn. And I used aluminum. I used an aluminum washer and a stainless steel bolt. And then that will go in here. As I made I guess you'd call that a mortise. or tenon or whatever the hell you call it. And I'm probably going to make a steel spacer, and I'll show you why here in a minute, for this one here. Or I was thinking about just milling this off a little bit more, because the tooth that I have falls right here on the edge, about half of the tooth. It'll still work just fine. I mean, it's just to indicate it. So that's just for my preferences. So this side is wider hole, and it goes into about right there. So you got a spring that goes on there, and I happen to have one. That was the only one I did have. So then we'll push that up in there, and I made my thumb screw. So now we'll put that in there. And we'll snug it up to finger tight, and then loosen it enough that I can move it. So now we'll take and set this down in its groove, because it's groovy like that. And then we'll go ahead and tighten that down, and this will never have to be changed unless you use a different size gear. So now when we go to index, we just raise that up and move it to the next one, next one, next one, next one. You want me to do all of them for you? Do you get the picture? Hello? Are you listening to me? So then you got your lock that locks it down so it don't move whatsoever. There is no backlash in this, because the 1/4 inch part of the shaft just barely protrudes out of the housing. I did that so that it would be no backlash. There's no backlash in this whatsoever. So that works. So now when I go to put this together, or put this in to use it, I'll have to bring it up to where this metal is getting ready to go into the vise. So right at the edge of the body. And then that's where I'm going to set it when I go to use it. Then I'll just bring my meal out, or table out, and put this blade right here on this side. That way it's cutting this way. It's not climb milling. So if you did it on this side, it'd be climb milling. We definitely don't want to do that. So we're going to have to do it on this side. And I've already checked, and it all will work. So that is my tool. My first real build. I mean, I've made some stuff, but this one here, I machined all the parts. So this is Bison built a copy of Atlas and 2 others, and you'd have to go to Mr. Pete to see all the plans and the drawings and stuff like that he had. He showed them on the screen, so get it while it lasts. If you guys plan to build this thing, you know, I've been years saying every time I see him build something, I'm going to build that, I'm going to build that. Well, finally, I found something I was deciding on building. So I think it turned out real nice. You see, that's solid, it ain't moving. So Let me pull it out and let you get a good close-up look at it. I polished it up a little bit, cleaned it up the best I'm going to do. And that's what she'll look like with gears in her. And I got a piece of metal stuck in my finger. Get out of there. But right there's what I was talking about on the indexer. I would actually rather that indexer be middle ways of the gear. But you know, that's just this gear. Another gear may be wider and be fine. So it's just a matter of preference right now. If I design it for this one, and the most common gear that I do will be wider, then that's really no problem. It's not a problem, it's just a problem up here. So the hole goes all the way through, like I showed that already. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'd like to see some more machinists in the world. We don't have enough, at least not around here. I think there's 2 machinists that I know of. 3 in this area, and I'm one of them. Anyway, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.